Hello all. You may ask what I am doing wearing my dressing gown doing a video. Well, that is because it is quite late. It is quite cold because it's suddenly gone nippy for some sort of reason. And quite frankly, I am trying to skimp on the gas like everybody else. So I thought I'd just put some layers on. Anyway, in my dressing gown, I'm going to do the weekly rant of the week. Oh, my camera is a bit too high today, but that doesn't matter because this is completely unscripted with dodgy camera work and everything. So basically, I haven't got really much to say based on this week, apart from how the NEC was. Well, I loved the NEC restoration show. If you have not seen my videos on that, please watch the videos. There are four big videos. I think it was kind of around part three where my phone started saying you're running out of memory here, and I'm thinking, oh dear, what have I done too much? And I genuinely thought I hadn't done that much. And I think when you put yourself in there and you're videoing so much activity, you just lose track of actually how many videos you had. And at that point, I had already done about 120 minutes of footage. And there's me thinking I'd only done about half an hour. So you can easily get carried away with these things. I had to take lunch around 2 o'clock that day because it was the start time was 9 o'clock and the show finished at 6 on the Saturday. And about 2 o'clock, it was like giving me the alarm bells, like, oh dear, I'm running out of memory. And then my battery was starting to fail, and I think I've got my power pack somewhere. These little power packs that I use for my heated jacket that I did a review on. You can use these to charge your mobile. So the idea is that I'd have the charge cable connected to my phone while I'm going around with the old tripod stick. However, I discovered that I had the wrong cable, so I had to go back to the car. So I retired to the car for lunch, recharged everything, had a look at my memory, and discovered a load of videos that were still stuck on my phone from old videos that I'd already edited and put on YouTube. And yeah, and I managed to get a load of memory, and I'm so glad I did, because part four pretty much was the last few hours. And the reason being, I just spoke to so many people on the Ford groups in Hall 3. It was Hall 1 was a mixture. It was a real mixture of everything, which is what you saw in part 1, part 2, maybe a bit of part 3. Part 3 and part 4 you saw in Halls 2 and 3. And a lot of the Ford stuff has got its own sort of area. After reviewing my footage of the whole day, I can absolutely say that I didn't do too bad a job, considering that my knowledge is very limited. I'm not a journalist. To say this is where people from a motoring journalist background would really benefit. And there are many YouTubers like Ian Seaford, Hubnut. He can just look at a car and he picks all the information out of his head. His head is bursting with information. Mine isn't, unless it's to do with Ford and Rover, and even then my history can be a bit sketchy, but I just appreciate the cars for what it is, and I hope that it came across that way. And I think plenty of you, from what I've seen, all the likes and comments, I did a good job. So not a bad first time at a show. And yeah, one thing that I do apologise for is that when I'm wandering around with the camera, I will keep the camera a bit more steady next time. I think I did a bit too much enthusiastic sort of moving round. I will keep the camera a bit more steady next time. That is not something I'm unaware about, so apologies for that. But I really do hope you enjoyed the videos. And yeah, it's amazing because I did a load of filming over a load of Rovers and Ford cars, and I've had three people who've commented that I actually was looking at their exact car. It was their car I was actually talking about. I think Rover, the Rover BRM, the 25 BRM. I didn't know that I was actually standing. Well, I think the owner was there, but I didn't realise that the owner may have realised who I was. I was going incognito, and I did not expect to be stopped, but I was stopped twice by two particular people who recognised me straight away. And for someone who has less than 700 people, that's pretty amazing. So I've clearly struck a chord in the Rover and Ford groups. I had one from each one Ford and one Rover person come up to me and identify me. So that's where I got chatting to people for quite a long time. And I did get some new subscribers because people see your blogging, and there's not too many people that do that. I did brush past Joseph Lloyd of Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. Rover people know who he is because he has done a lot of videos on them, and he has a Rover 45 V6. But he was in full flow. I was in full flow. We didn't talk. We didn't stop because we were kind of in the full flow. That's just the way it is with YouTubers. And if you see me in the full flow, yeah, try to catch me when I'm not in full flow, because then it becomes difficult with the editing bit. That's all I will say. If I'm standing still and I look as if the camera isn't on and I'm not talking, speak my name. If you're near me and you want my attention, say Andy. You got my attention. I naturally will be doing the same thing at the Pride of Longbridge coming soon, so I will definitely be having a zoom around. I will give more details closer to the day, but it looks like I will be going on the Rover Marquee group. I can't remember the exact name of the group. It's a Facebook group, but it is number 22 that I will have on Beatrix when I go into Cofton Park. So I will be part amongst a load of other people, I think. But that's the intention, is to put number 22 on, because I am a member of that group and I have asked. So yeah, that's where I will be for the Pride of Longbridge. The day after, I will be at Whiffle Transport Museum at another Rover meet, and that's going to be quite an interesting meet as well, because it was free and I managed to get in there and get a ticket before basically all the tickets had sold out within about an hour. There was only about 200, there was about 100 or something like tickets, maybe less than that actually, to be fair, because Whiffle Transport Museum in the south of Birmingham is an amazing place to go. I've been there once before, and as someone who actually has quite a fascination for buses, I'm afraid this is what I was into before cars. I will show you my knowledge if you're into buses. If you're not, then I'll probably split it into two parts. Apart from that, all good. The NEC show was absolutely amazing. I do apologise that I missed some cars through the barn find section. At that stage, I was really conscious of how much memory I had on my phone, so I really had to preserve the memory for actually looking at some of the Fords, because that's the cars that my subscribers are interested in. So I have to focus on Fords and Rovers, which was the particular emphasis. But I do enjoy a wide range of marques for what they are. There's many cars that I haven't driven, and I've only ever driven about probably 11 cars in my life, and owned four, sorry, an ST170, a Beard, for a very short time. Looking at the values of ST170s, I don't know if I should have sold it, because they seem to be doing very, very well at the moment. But my overall view of the show is it's a great show, and I think you should go to it. And yeah, that's as much as what I will say about that. The variety is fantastic. But over the next rest of this year, there will be some variety between the two models. This is more of an update rather than a rant, but the truth is, my only rant is that people need to start paying attention to actually what is disappearing and what isn't. I would not concentrate on fast forwards. Mind you, if you've got the money, why don't you? But it's just sad that people put monetary value above actual nostalgia. And I'm not being funny, nostalgia is so powerful now that, you know, the Ford Fiesta Popular Plus that sold in the auction that I showed you in, I think, part 3 or part 4, the red one, that sold for £6,500. And for a Fiesta Mark III, that is top dollar. Top dollar. And that's what you're looking at. And that's what you want. But the reason why it's so high, they've all gone. Because people didn't put money into them when they had the chance. And the lesson is, we need to start thinking about doing that very shortly. I really do hope that more of you are encouraged to take up a Mark 1 Focus. I've already had a number of people say that I've inspired them to grab a Mark 1 and start fixing it up, and I'm really pleased to hear that, and I just hope that trend goes up a little bit, because if I can save a few hundred of them, then that's great, because it will be a very small number of Mark 1s that will survive. I'm pretty sure about that. My prediction was the current numbers of Mark 1 focuses in the UK are around 70,000. I do predict that in 5 years' time, maybe 6 years' time, it will be below 5,000. I really do believe that. If definitely below 10, it will be going towards 5,000. Because that's roughly the amount of people that are prepared to preserve a Mark 1, a normal, ordinary, everyday Mark 1, the stuff that people get nostalgic about. ST170s, I don't think people will get nostalgic about because many people have never owned one. So that will have a niche in its own niche. It's as simple as that. But for all the rest, this is what the reality will be, because it will follow the trend of all the other Fords before it. What I can do is, from my perspective, my work that I'm doing with my channel, using my channel as a route to connect people. You know, this is a Rover and Ford channel, to be honest. This is truly where I'm going with the channel, Fords and Rovers. I should rename the channel. I'm not going to, though, because I think the brand name is so strong it's untrue. People are starting to recognise that name. You don't change your YouTube name now because people know the channel, and that's that. But Fords and Rovers describes what I do. I love Rovers. Rovers are going to be a part of my life as much as Ford. But on the Ford aspect, it will be a route through to connect people in the community going forwards. And from there, when you connect people and you encourage people, hopefully there will be a few more thousand Mark 1s that survive because of what I've started, and hopefully people can continue the work. I have just done a really nice video that will be going out on the 1st of April, which just shows what people are doing in the Mark 1 community. Individual stories where people are working on their cars quietly and don't want to fuss. They're not a YouTube channel, they're not advertising it, but they are quietly going about their work, and it will pay off. And I think this sort of channel is great to show some recognition for these people, and it will be a surprise video for that person. So watch on the 1st of April. Rover, as I say, this is a bit of an update rather than a weekly rant, but it is what it is. Rover, Beatrix, I've ran her for a couple of days now. I have obtained a lockup garage, of which I am starting to move my stuff all the way down, and I have more stuff than I think, but I've had a good clear out at the same time, which is useful. Beatrix is running okay, bit lumpy, bit misfiery. Yes, at low RPM it does have a bit of a stutter to it. Now, I am not familiar with how the CVT gearbox is supposed to feel, so I've learned from a couple of drives how it might be feeling. I've got a feeling that my CVT, even though it doesn't have any bearing noises or anything like that, it isn't quite in the first flush of youth, despite having fresh fluid. It is one of those things, but maybe it will get better over time. The jerkiness is certainly something I'm a little bit wary about, but that could be to do with the fact the car is slightly misfiring. It threw a code the other day. I will go through this in a video soon, but I've been doing work on the brakes. I've been doing a load of work elsewhere, and it may not go out as a video before the Pride of Longbridge, because there is so much stuff before the Pride of Longbridge. I've got so many videos that are going to come out in the next 2 weeks, which I've just completed. So we're 2 weeks behind. That's how far we're behind. That's it. But apart from a slight bit of misfiring, it could be bad fuel. I think it is bad fuel, because I put some Red X in the other day and it started actually working perfectly fine. And I suspect the coil pack isn't quite that good. The top tip I've been told is to narrow the spark plugs from 1mm to 0.8. You can do that with a K series with no effect on performance whatsoever. Quite a few people have told me that now, so I will be doing that as well. But HT leads, coil packs, new stuff, it's going to be done. I don't know, I mean, genuine ones are quite expensive for what they are, and I don't really want the feeling of buying something that is actually at least 15 years old as a coil pack, because these would have been produced at least 15, 16 years ago, 17 years ago, no, 18 years ago. So I will probably go quality aftermarket in terms of the coil packs. There's plenty of them about, but don't get cheap. Just go for the best in terms of aftermarket. Cambiari, I think, is a good name. I've used them before. They have the exact style pencil coil packs, and I will go for some silicon HT leads. Well, performance. They're not performance. They're just silicon HT leads, and they are probably a bit more robust than the rubber ones long term. But apart from that, absolutely fine. Martin, you know who you are. You have a CVT 45, a much earlier one. I think I think we have to collaborate. I think I'd do a bit of collaboration, because I would quite like to drive your 45 to feel what the gearbox is like. And then you can drive mine and then compare notes, because, as I say, I'm getting used to the gearbox. It's a little bit more jerky when starting off, but I'll tell you something, when it goes, it just goes. It just goes. It's smooth as anything. Once you start getting going, and it feels like the car is spooling up a bit from a standing stop. It spools up and then it goes. That's what it feels like at first. I don't know whether you've got a similar thing to say about that, but the jerkiness, I do think that the misfiring is affecting the gearbox. And we're talking about miniature misfires here, because if you put your ear to the exhaust, it's like a sort of smooth, and then it's just small, very minute misfires. That was a good sound effect. And really, though, for a car that's been laid up so long, I am really, really chuffed. Um, as I say, there's going to be a big long drive coming out just before the Pride of Long, which I haven't done that yet, but that will be happening soon. So just teething problems. But honestly, I get in the car, it starts first time, and I took it to work the other day, and I just think, this is a car that gives me confidence. I haven't changed any of the Petron relays. There are some Achilles heels in that car that could potentially give up. There is one thing that I will change regardless of how I feel it's working. The crankshaft position sensor. 3 people have told me, if that's the original, change it, as a matter of course. And I know exactly where you're coming from, because when they fail, they completely fail and then it won't start. And believe you me, I've had that happen before on a Focus Mark 1, believe it or not. So changing the crank position sensor will happen as preventative maintenance. And obviously, I'd say core pack, HT leads, there's really nothing else that I see that is obviously needs changing. Obviously, I've mentioned about the train-arm bushes and CV boots. At some point, we'll change them, but I'm not sure when. As far as I'm concerned, the tracking is actually really good. There's no swaying from left to right whatsoever. It feels good. It's not pulling in any direction. So the rear suspension is set up perfectly. And I do not think those train-arm bushes, like the MOT tester said, are giving any form of movement whatsoever. They just look really bad. They look cracked. They are cracked. They look deteriorated, but they're actually not moving, which is fascinating, because usually they do. But anyway, so we're in a bit of a transition at the moment with the garage, and then we're going to have some work on the Focus. We're going to get the Focus on jack stands. Before I put the Focus in the garage, I want to put the Focus on jack stands and give it a thorough going over, because since about August, when I had the car resprayed, because of Beatrix and all that stuff going on, I haven't looked at the car. I know that she's going to be scabby around the corners of the front subframe again. I'm going to have to go over some areas, but most of the areas are holding up really well, so I did a thorough job, but there's always a few areas that you may have missed. So I will be going over several areas and just coating everything as such. One other job that I may look to be doing very soon is basically spraying the brake drums. The brake drums, I put stone chip on them, black stone chip, but I would like them in silver, as you would have got from the factory. So I will be looking to get some decent brake caliper silver, possibly, and then probably spraying them up, or brush painting, whichever one I see fit. Probably spray them up, will be easier. A few areas to attend to underneath, but I'll just take you around the car. We'll do a video on it. And then give it a good old snow foam, bit of a wash, and some Dynax. I have applied some Dynax to some areas when I did beer tricks in the episode that has just come out. I did treat the suspension, and it's looking all better for it, but I think I could have been thorough. I didn't have a lot left, to be fair, so I will get a can of Dynax and I will go right under the focus and do exactly the same process. So that will be basically what I've done on Beatrix Part 2. The only other thing I would say is I use underseal, wax oil underseal on the focus. So the Dynax will be used as a coat to go over the top, essentially. That's all it will be used for, just to keep everything looking nice. So I can point out the areas that are not so nice, but most of them are going to get sorted in a couple of months. Anyway, I will leave you to it, guys. This has not been a rant of the week. Well, it might have been, but might not have been. But just a little channel update / slight rant. You take care, guys. I will see you very soon. Please like, subscribe, comment, tell other people about this channel, because I would like to grow the channel a little bit more. Not because I want to necessarily monetize the channel and get money, because I'll tell you something, YouTubing does not get you any income until you have at least a few thousand subscribers and your views are good. So just because I hit that 1,000 subs mark does not mean I start rolling the money in. It's not about that. Not about that for me. I have a full-time job of which I can do, of which pays for this hobby. So I don't need any other income. Yeah, I don't know how that will change anything on the channel. I don't think it will, because I don't intend for it to be changed. The only thing that I may attempt to do, I have been asked, and I will be honest, because this is me being honest. I do not want my tool reviews or anything compromised by sponsorships or paid sponsorships or anything like that. But I have been approached by an aftermarket manufacturer of tools. At the moment, it is just at the email stage, but they have approached me saying they have watched some of my videos and would I like to review some of their products. The idea being essentially that I will pay for the product and then do a honest review, and then if they are happy with that review, they will give me the money back. So essentially I have a free tool. Now, I have got a big thing about having freebies in that way, because I make it very clear that every single one of my tools, from a tiny little nut spanner to my Milwaukee impact gun, which is the most expensive tool I have, and it is probably the best tool that I have in my arsenal. I wouldn't live without it. If it broke, I'd get another one, but it won't break because I've known professionals to have one for many years and daily use, daily abuse. Mine's not daily abused, it's probably monthly abused in comparison. But I make that claim very clear, that I don't like free stuff thrown at me. But I have been approached, and the thing is, this company do make a lot of nice tools, particularly diagnostic tools. Now, I do have a scanner, but they have offered as one of their products a very, very nice scanner, which they are about £350. So when a company comes up to you, potentially you could have a scanner for absolutely nothing as part of promotion. That's quite generous, and I'd have to see how it works out, but it's very tempting. But I don't want to compromise my ability to review a product without being honest and balanced. There are pros, there are cons, and I will keep that very, very clear. But literally, that's all I have to say. But that is the only form of, well, it is a sponsorship. Well, it's not a sponsorship, but it's more of a review collaboration. But at this stage, it is at the email stage, so I cannot really say anything more than that. But it is really nice to know that I've been noticed. It's not a bad thing. And I actually do have a rant of the week, because after I just finished this video just now, I did a little bit of twittering, and this came up on my Twitter feed. Can you guess what new car that is that was announced literally today by Ford? The Capri. That's that is the new Capri, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the absolute end of Ford. That's it. That's it. They are literally tarnishing everything that they have made good over the company's history. It's literally like the new chiefs are literally stamping their feet on every good person, every good deed that company has done over the last God knows how many decades now, and they're literally rubbishing the company. That is a joke. It's just a bloated, fat SUV. It looks like a Focus that they've just made bloated outwards. In what way is that meant to be a Capri? It's exactly like the Puma. They are literally insulting every single one of the old names. Oh, I'm not being funny. It's not a Capri. It's just a bloated SUV. Jesus Christ.